speaker this evening is Michelle Archuleta. I didn't get a lot of information from her, but that's okay because she is so smart, it doesn't matter. If she was at a diner, she would order all of the chili cheese fries, I believe, right? Yeah, okay, yep. So feel free to hand this girl some chili cheese fries after you see how big and amazing and spectacular her brain is. Please give a big hand to Michelle.
I was born and raised in rural Colorado, 4.5 hours away from any major airport. The scenery is spectacular. The Sangre de Cristos were my backyard. As if the Sangres aren't incredible enough, we have the Spanish Peaks. Despite being an incredible place to live, there's a downside. Very little economic opportunity, education is poor, and healthcare is almost non-existent. When I started college, I had to twist my advisor's arm. I wanted to major in chemical engineering. I didn't have high school chemistry. My high school could not afford to hire 2 science teachers. When I was a junior in chemical engineering, my world was turned upside down. My grandmother was diagnosed with colon cancer. During this time, I met my graduate advisor, who was studying cancer signaling pathways using mathematical models. That became my dissertation topic. I moved to Boston, where I worked at one of the most prestigious research institutes in the world, the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. The Broad was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. Affiliates of the Broad were Nobel laureates. We were extremely competitive. We worked all hours of the night, but out of the Broad came groundbreaking research. During the holidays, I'd travel home. I'd take the taxi to the train to the subway to the airport. Don't you understand how miserable it is to get around in Boston? The 5-hour flight from Boston to Denver, and then back home. I'd like to share the sights and scenery of this trip. This is the view from my office window at the Broad of MIT. This is Ringo's supermarket. The founders of the Broad were pioneers in the Human Genome Project. The Broad was taking sequencing technology to a whole new level. The 1,000 Genomes Project was the most detailed catalog of genetic diversity. The very famous CRISPR gene editing technology was being developed by Dr. Zhang. The Broad is changing the landscape of biomedical research, and this will undoubtedly have substantial impact on human health, as shown from these headlines. However, the people that benefit the most have advanced degrees, know the right questions to ask. What about everybody else? How would this technology benefit people from my community? People who don't know what questions to ask. People from rural towns and underserved communities. You see, the true abyss between my 2 worlds was health literacy. How do we empower patients with the skills, knowledge, and expertise to be active participants in their own health? I moved back to Colorado, and with an amazing team and amazing support from the Denver startup community, I founded a digital healthcare company, Dr. Speak. We are translating medical terminology and speech into something that patients can understand and use to make informed medical decisions. Through our software app, we are educating patients about the seriousness of their conditions and the consequences of not following their doctor's instructions. I remember when my grandmother was diagnosed with cancer. I got my PhD chasing the trail of wanting to understand more so that I could make a difference for her. I remember how our world was turned upside down, and despite all of the anguish, we were thrown into a foreign language, and we were expected to make informed medical decisions that would affect her entire life. What if there was a way to go from something like this to something like that? something that we can understand, something that will empower us, something that will make us not afraid to ask our doctors questions. I was born and raised in rural Colorado, and I didn't have high school chemistry, but I did have the hard work, the perseverance, the strength, the gifts of my community that led me to the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard. From the Broad, I gained incredible knowledge, skills, and expertise, and I want to give that back to my community. When I reflect back on my life, the message is this: no matter where you come from, you can make a difference. Thank you.